Good
Hey,
deal.
everybody. Yeah, good deal indeed. But thank you for tuning in to Station Squared. This is Robert, and thank you for tuning in to the podcast. And hope everybody's having a lovely day so far. And we're just counting down, if I'm not mistaken, we're just counting down a couple of days, or actually, next weekend is going to be like
Yeah, yeah,
we got a
yeah.
couple of different events that are happening. Like we have a
Oh,
Transformers convention. There's another one in L. So there's like March is kind of ramping up with so many different cons. And today
yeah.
we're going to be chatting with somebody who is going to be guesting at one of them next weekend. We have Miss Morgan Lofting in the corner. Thank you so much for joining me on this lovely Friday afternoon.
Oh, you are so welcome. Yeah. I'm at TFCon next, not this Saturday, what, 9 and 10 over at the Marriott at the Burbank Airport. So it's so easy. I can just roll out of bed and get there. That's my idea of a Comic Con.
All right. Yeah. And I'm just kind of curious about yeah, I don't even know what's going to be happening, but I know it's going to be a lot that's going to, you
Oh
know,
my God, it's a mob scene. You've never been to a TFCon?
um, no, I don't think
Not
I've
at the,
been to a
okay.
Transformers convention. No.
Okay. Oh, all right. Well, it's run by Colin Douglas, who is based in Toronto. And I get to see all the people that maybe I haven't seen in, I don't know, 6 months or something. I mean, it's just a wash with every actor. Oh my God, David Kay and Neil Ross and Greg Berger. And I mean, blah, 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 blah. Um, if you go online to TFCon at the Marriott, in Burbank, you can see the whole guest list, and they've got artists there. They've got people like Jim Sorensen who do compilations of books of all the artwork that were done, like for G.I. Joe or for Transformers. Um, I have a dear friend that I just made a couple years ago at TFCon, actually, who's a historian who is thinking about doing a coffee table book about, my God, what's it been now? 40 years, 40 years worth of Transformers. What? So that would be a nice thick color book. And tons of people selling stuff. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah. So it's wild and crazy, and it's a chance to, like I said, to catch up. We're only there for like 4 hours one day, 4 hours another day. And they have so many of us, the actors that are coming, that we generally do 4 hours, and then they change everything. They change the pictures out, they change out the banner, and a whole new set of actors comes in and sits down, so it's kind of like a clown car. There's a lot going on. Yeah, we got to get
Yeah,
you.
these conventions are like, I'm noticing with a lot of these cons because I've been to like comic cons, like animation conventions, and
Oh yeah, oh
there's like a
God.
lot that is going on. Like you have people that
Oh,
are they're th- I mean, when you go to these conventions, you have these artists that do like caricatures and they do
yeah.
sketches, and you also have actors and celebrities that are just meeting the fans and doing autographs. But then you have all these, and I was just talking with another actor that's going to be there this weekend, and I was just doing interviews with a lot of folks that have been in the industry since the 80s, with G.I. Joe, Transform. Do you have all these insane cosplays? Like, it is
Mm-hmm,
it
mm-hmm.
is unreal. With the amount of work that goes into them, like everything is not. I mean, not to say that, and having a career in something is not like an easy process, but man, like I'm telling you, the lengths, the amount of dedication and craft that they go through with every little meticulous detail into, the robot
Oh,
suits that I would see. Like I was literally just at LA Comic Con a few months ago, and I'm
yep.
talking like giant,
Yeah,
these
yeah,
big
yeah, yeah,
robot
yeah.
monsters, like
I
walking
know.
around the
No,
convention
now I'm
halls. It is
still, and
insane. Yeah.
I know a gal,
Like
oh,
a hour,
old,
pretty much.
old,
I'm not even
yeah.
exaggerating. Yeah.
Joe Colton just designs and executes the most incredible cosplay outfits, not the ones with that are on stilts, but just the entire
Still,
outfit from the belt to the backpack to the headdress. Oh, I mean, yeah, they're artists. They really, really are. And sometimes Joe goes to the conventions and she'll give talks about how to do it, you know, if you're so inclined. These are mittens, so I don't try to make an outfit, but yeah, yeah.
yeah, but I guess we'll talk more about conventions in a little bit. But for now, we could just discuss, how everything is kind of, because I know it's kind of like a reoccurring question that I ask, where it's like, how has everything been changing, since you got started? But for you in particular, like, would you
Oh,
say
like
that
there's the
for
internet.
voiceover, yeah, there's the internet, but also what is something else that you've also been noticing? Because I know you got your start. You've been in the business for a very, 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 very,
A
very
very,
long
very,
time.
very long. There are more parts for women. That's what I notice. There is now hey, there's a Transformer show that's pretty basically all women, right? Oh, I don't know the name of it, the exact name of it. Sorry. But yeah, parts for women. Hello. Uh, when I did Moonracer and Firestar, I was only in one episode because they couldn't quite figure out what to do with women unless they had a boyfriend. Oh my God, shoot me. Anyway, yeah, yes, there's a lot more parts for women. And without the internet, of course, there would not be the Comic Cons. I mean, it's the fact the fact that you and I can do this and it's not on the radio, it's out in the universe somewhere, and anybody can tune into it any old time, and you can record from anywhere, and I'm at home, and oh my God, the technology. Wow. And like I said, before we started taping, I don't even understand the technology. I just keep running as fast as I can and trying to catch up. So I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it's
turn
kind
it
of like
on, plug it in. Yes,
I
yeah.
literally, boy, it's kind of like this with like I love them, I really do, but sometimes if I'm showing my family some technology, and I'm talking like from the 50, they came from like the 50s, 60s, and I'm showing them, oh, you have to hook this up to the, and they were just kind of sit there like,
Oh, just honey, just hook it up and tell me where to push the button, you know?
exactly,
I mean,
that's
oh yeah, no,
literally, yeah,
that's all I do. I mean,
yeah.
I can record commercials from home, or I do the auditions. I auditions for voiceover from home. I couldn't do that. I mean, and sad to say that a lot of the facts that I can do that is because we had COVID. So I had to get the gear because nobody was driving to Santa Monica to do an audition. You didn't want to hang out with your fellow actors there for a while, you know? So yeah, it's funny what sort of advances the game. When did you start doing what you're doing?
For at least about 7. Yeah, coming up in September is going to be 7 years. So I'm just
Okay.
still somebody who's like, I mean, you could say that I'm still brand new. I mean, I consider myself to be somebody who's learning every single day. Like none of us really stop learning. I mean, technology and
Yeah,
also
yeah.
just how everything's been kind of been, with voiceover in particular, because I know with um, after the pandemic, I mean, even before that, I mean, we have like home studios. I mean, I got
Yeah.
my setup all behind me in this closet
Oh my
here,
God.
so I literally, it's really fascinating with how with when you mentioned going into audition and everything like that. Um, because I know before you used to go in and you would record something and then you go like back to back, jumping from session to session at a studio. But now we have everything that we can
Oh,
have
yeah, or
all
I'd go to
in our
my
fingertips.
agent.
Yeah.
I'd audition at my agents, or I mean, I don't have a home studio. What I
Mhm.
have is Audacity on my
Oh yeah.
computer, and
Yeah.
I've got a music stand, and I've got a great mic, and ta-da! And I wait until later at night because I'm on a street that's fairly busy. And then I just sit there and I make all sorts of silly noises and hope that the neighbors don't come over and go, "Are you okay?" You know, I mean, sit there going, "Ah, oh, ah." Yeah. So, yeah, God, it's fun. Well, you must find it fun, even though you're not doing crazy voices. Here you are, you're online. Rah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it really does depend. Depending on the project, of course. I mean, I literally was just in a workout earlier. Like, we do these voiceover workouts where you work with other actors just to get
Mhm.
feedback and direct each other. So I was literally just doing that. And literally, a character that I was doing had this really scratchy, like this. It was just kind of
Oh,
like this really deep because I
yeah.
wanted to challenge myself with it kind of reminds you of like those old 80s shows where you have these characters that talk like they're really crazy and they have this big raspy voice everywhere. So that's kind
Yeah,
of
yeah. Oh,
what I was doing,
but
which,
see, that's what's fun, right?
yeah,
Because you
my
look a
pretty
certain way and you can
face.
do all that. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Oh,
the Wicked
yes.
Witch. Yeah. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's something like that. Which is something that I don't really do often because I wanted to. I think part of what makes a good actor is challenging yourself to do whatever crazy character that you it's not really in your arch that like you wanted to try out. So that's pretty
Yeah,
much what I
yeah.
did this morning, just challenging myself to play a character
Oh,
that is not really in my uh, forte,
Wheelhouse.
but you know what,
That's
just
a
having fun.
stupid
Yeah.
word. Wheelhouse. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wheelhouse. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what, the most important thing is, having fun and see if this is a character that you might end up you
Yeah.
never know
Yeah.
if you
And
might
see
end
if
up
you
booking
can
it. Yeah.
sustain it too. That's another thing. You can get some of these voices.
Like
And then somebody says yell and you go you know, or you've done it for 2 hours and you can no longer speak and you're spitting up blood or something. I mean,
oh,
you know,
gosh.
right? Okay, okay, okay. You know what's
Yeah.
so fantastic for, I mean, for your imagination is improving.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes, just what the whole yes and school, and you just go. You go with it. You go with it. You yes, yes, yes. It's
Yeah.
just fun. It gives you know where you hear the crazy voices when you're in a recording session with a bunch of crazy people who are doing their characters. And when we stop recording, everybody starts doing their funny little voices, or they stop doing their cockney, or they stop, and you just, I mean, it's like, oh my God, is anybody taping this? Because it's a feast, you know. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a
Um,
fun game. It's a very fun game.
yeah. I mean, like, regarding, I've heard of voice actors actually passing it out in the booth after doing all this screaming and intense, anime or video game stuff, and it can be which is why taking care of your voice is always super important. And it's just really fun, just what I really miss is getting to record, like you said, just being in a room with this other actor and then the
Oh,
other,
yeah,
like a
yeah.
cross
You
ensemble
have to you
recording.
have to leave
Yeah.
the razor room. You know what I'm talking about, right? With but razor room, you can't talk over another actor because they may want to cut it in such a way. They may possibly it's never even been animated yet, so they have to
Mhm.
give themselves leeway. So you have to leave that. So you can't jump on the other, which is so annoying. It's nice, like in real life, we jump on one another. I don't stop talking because you're talking, and you don't stop talking because I'm talking. We're interacting with one another, you know. But yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, there was something else I was going to say about that craziness, and now I can't think what it was.
I mean,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it also not that you're going to come off script. in a cartoon show, but it keeps you facile. It keeps you imaginative, and it probably works better for uh working up to something that's on camera, but they're just, what I like it for is sometimes you get ideas about a character because you got the picture, you've got the script, and you've got to come up with a voice with something that, and if you just sort of fool around a little bit, you can, oh, let's try that. Yeah. Yeah. Let's try that. I'm prepping a show right now that hasn't been sold yet. So we're experimenting with wonderful characters. Absolutely. The drawings are wonderful. I love the script. Setting on how I want my character to sound, how the director and the writer want my character to sound, and what I want to bring. So you're constantly not just doing voices, you're just constantly revving, right? Yes.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I know the
Yeah.
feeling because
Yes.
going back to the remote, not remote, the ensemble stuff, like getting to work with actors, like, I mean, you've worked with folks like, Greg Berger, Frank Welker, Peter Cullen, and all of these guys that have been like literally in the 80s and 90s. You literally could not escape from Frank. Like, he was everywhere back in
Oh,
the
Frank
day.
is still
Yeah,
every.
he still is, and he's still working to this very
Oh my
day.
God. I
Yeah,
worked with Frank on a little show one time. I was the queen. He was the ogre. Yeah, okay. And
yeah.
the producer, I don't think, had done very much stuff. And she said to Frank Welker, who by that point probably had 100 different things that he'd done, she said, "Have you done very much?" And most actors would go, "Well, let me tell you, I was just in the, blah, 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 blah." And Frank says, "Oh, yeah." And that's it. Oh, yeah. A great sense of his own ability. He didn't have to sell himself. I mean, if you're any good as a director or producer and you've got Frank in the room and you don't know how good he is, you shouldn't be doing your job because nobody should have to tell you how good Frank Welker is. I mean, I need the sound of a zipper and a mattress. Now I want that a double mattress, not a single. Okay. And Frank will go do it for you, So yeah.
Yeah, you just would not believe. Like, if I'm
Yep.
watching a video or just even watching him in person, like you tell him, hey, we need you to be like a cupcake that spews out fire or something,
I
he will
know.
literally
I
do
know.
it. Yeah,
What kind of icing do you want on your cupcake? Yes. Yes. Yeah, I know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. If you IMDb him, you go, really?
Boy,
That's
yeah. No, even IMDb. If you go on Wikipedia or IMDb, it would not list off everything that he did because he is
yeah.
just that versatile in anything that and pretty much any project that you hire Frank on. I mean, I could say the same for like any
Oh,
actor.
Michael
Um,
Bell,
Mike,
BJ
yeah,
Ward. I
Michael,
mean, oh God, yes.
yeah,
Oh God, yes. I'm hoping that,
Neil Rott, yeah, all these
yeah.
guys.
Oh God, yeah. In fact, I'm friends with Neil and his wife, Jean Jackson, and we usually sit right next to one another at the TF Con. Sure, sure. Sue Blue may very well be at TF Con.
Yeah.
Arthie, she may very well show up because she doesn't live that far away. Yeah, yeah. But you got to go, people, you got to go online and all the guests will be listed.
Yeah, like literally a quick search, and you could just see all the voice
Oh,
actors that are gonna be,
everybody, and they'll tell you
dude,
what days
everyone.
we're going to
Yeah,
be there and what times, and there may
yeah,
be, I have not seen my schedule yet, but there probably will be uh panels of the
yeah.
characters and oh yeah, and all that jazz. Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what's really great about these as well is, you go to these conventions and then you see, I think it's really much a place where a lot of actors, where especially if you haven't seen them in like I don't know, a few years or so, or maybe longer. I
And they're
mean, a lot
still
of us
there,
are,
you know?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we go and then it's like a reunion, which is pretty much what these conventions are. They dedicate, special panels for reunions. You could just talk to
Exactly.
the cast and you get to experience, and if you're lucky, you might even get to experience table reads where they read
Yes. They'll pull
scripts
out
from
a,
episodes
oh
they did. Yeah.
God, we did a show at TF Con like, oh, 3 or 4 years ago. And we were all exhausted because there is something about sitting there for 4 to 5 hours and really paying attention to whoever's coming up because they're there at your table because they want to meet you. So you got to like, stay alert and have a conversation. Well, you do that for like 4 or 5 hours and you're kind of, and we were all sort of ready to go to the green room and just have a good sit down. And some bright spark of 22 comes up and says, "Oh, now we're going to have a read in the auditorium of one of the old scripts." And we're all like, but you perk up because it's showbiz. And so we all went in and we read the script, and it was really very well done because they had, most of us were playing the parts in the shows, but they had a couple of characters and they'd done some sort of a raffle. So some of the attendees got to be in the reading, and we were all on mic and it was very well done. But man, when that show was over, we just all sort of, oh, in fact, I'm thinking of taking a lift instead of driving because I was exhausted. Nobody wanted to know I was on the road after that. God,
Yeah. They really do be exhausting, when you do events like this.
oh yeah.
Um,
And the
so
other thing you started to say is that you see people you don't know, but most people don't know who the voice actors are unless they come with a name tag. I was, Optimus Prime or something. Nobody's going to probably recognize Peter Cullen. Well, maybe now Peter Cullen, but most voice actors are not recognizable, which is a good thing, I suppose. But yeah, sure. This is someone you real. This is Frank Welker. Who in the world would? I mean, Frank Welker just looks like the most unassuming person, right? He's just, just like kind of like a nice guy. Hi, how are you? Yeah.
yeah. I do wanted to talk about some of your roles because I know you're known for Baroness, and you've
Oh,
also done
God.
shows, and of course you were in Transformers, Spider-Man, and you were
Oh,
kind of,
yeah.
yeah,
The greatest thing in the world was doing Aunt May and Black Cat
Black Cat, yeah,
in
yeah,
the same show.
yeah,
Now that's why you want to be a voice actor, because you want to be able to go from the very sexy to Aunt May. And yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And for GI Joe, working on all of these, because these are like from the first generation. Like, I know that by the time you got started into the business, these franchises were just literally beginning. And now here we
Yeah.
are, 40-ish or 40 plus or so years later. There's still juggernauts when it
Isn't that
comes to,
incredible?
yeah,
It
it's
really,
amazing.
really is. And I have guys, basically guys, because there was sort of that mindset in the 80s that if you were a boy, you had a GI Joe, and little girls did, what was it, My Little Pony. Now there's not that divide. But who comes up to meet me are the guys who raced home from school to turn on the television, and they will bring their families. And it's like, wow, and they've got their kids and they've got their wife, and yeah, it's crazy. Then you get into slightly younger generation and they're just showing up on their own, and they've got a wagon behind them full of stuff. Would you sign this? And would and it's fabulous. Some people, oh my God. And I don't know why the wives are with them. Some of these husbands have a room that's devoted. And I go like, oh my God. Yeah, a whole room. Not a wall. We're talking a room, So yeah, wild and crazy stuff. It, it's fun. It's so much fun to meet these people because something that it took me a while to appreciate is how these cartoons and some of the characters in the cartoons were extremely important to these kids at the time. Mostly latchkey kids, for all different reasons, I'm sure. But when they meet you, they are meeting themselves face to face as little people, Yeah, it's really lovely. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have
Yeah.
any positive or any memorable anecdotes on working on G.I. Joe or Transform or just any of the shows that you've done in the 80s and even
I
to this
I
day?
did so
Yeah.
many of them, and who knew that they would still be alive? So we had fun. I remember, Arthur and Chris Latta and I used to kind of hang out if we weren't. I mean, just in the studio, waiting for Wally Burr, who directed, would generally just
Oh
use,
man, Wally.
yeah, shoot me. Wally Burr was a royal pain in the ass sometimes. Um, but he would like to direct maybe two or three actors, not the whole mob scene. So some of us would step out. And, Chris Latta was very interesting, man.
Oh boy.
Uh, well, he is,
Uh
but you see, Chris Latta just on his own was very soft-spoken. And you would think, well, Chris Latta was probably, I don't know, repairing refrigerators or something. He would, yes. Oh, there's a piece on YouTube where he's at one of the comedy clubs on Sunset Boulevard, and Bill Shatner is introducing him, and he basically just puts Bill Shatner down because Chris Latta on stage doing stand up had the shades on and just took no prisoners. He had a very aggressive, mean persona. But that was Chris. It was like there was, what persona would you like me to be? What character would you like me? What mask would you like me to put on? I mean, that's all a persona is. It's a mask. And oh God. All the voiceover, including me, try to do, you know, his character. Everybody fools around with, how long can you do it without spitting up blood? You know, yeah, yeah. Fun stuff. Fun.
yeah. I know that there were a lot of very interesting stories that I mean, even on the podcast, I've gotten a couple of like, interesting anecdotes about working with actors. I think I remember like Michael Bell, he was one of the busiest actors.
Oh God,
Pretty
Michael
much.
Bell would never
Okay.
shut up in a session. I mean, he would shut up when the recording light was on, but yes, Michael Bell was always,
Yeah, and then it's like somebody told me that Michael would just be on would go to one place to another, like Hanna-Barbera, Disney, all of the big names. And then when it came to recording with Wally, it's kind of like, oh, maybe I could be here for an hour. No, we got you for 4 hours. Sit down.
oh, four. No, I think the SAG contract is actually like six or something.
Mm.
And Wally would do table reads, and then Wally would craft everything. And okay, as much of a pain in the ass as Wally Burr was, if you turn off the sound and you turn off the special effects, you turn off the music, you turn off the dialogue track on a lot of these early cartoons, and you just look at the visuals, you go, nothing's happening because there wasn't the technology to make any. So what drives this is the entire soundtrack. So he did an incredible job with dialogue tracks. He really, really did.
Yeah, and getting to work on these, I don't think anybody really expected these to become like, I mean, for crying out loud, we have conventions that are dedicated to a lot of this, pretty much all of these franchises that we grew up with, and they're being introduced to new generations,
Oh yeah.
to,
Oh yeah. I'm
yeah,
going to
and then the kids,
JoeCon and
people
oh
that,
my
and
God.
yeah, like the kids that
June,
grew
I'm
up
going to
with Generation
JoeCon.
Y.
It's all
Yeah,
Joe. I mean, it's all G.I. Joe. S-
yeah.
Really? Okay. Yeah. 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 Wild. It is wild.
Like, and then you have the kids that grew up to be parents, and then they're introducing their kids to GI Joe, Ninja Turtles, Thundercats. Like, I'm just going on, and My Little Pony. You know, this stuff is like
Oh, and
kind
there's
of
so
pretty.
much new stuff. Oh my God, there's so
Totally.
much.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
To this very day, do you still get amazed with so many letters, or just people just being like, you're a part of my childhood, da da da
Oh
da.
yeah, my favorite thing, and my favorite thing, and I always look at him like right across my eyes. You are the voice of my childhood. And here's a 55-year-old man standing in front of me, and I go, oh, thank you. I was the voice of, yeah, you made my day. You know, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
you hear
they
so many
are.
stories, yeah. And it just really shows just the amount of legacy and impact that these shows
I
really
know.
had on
Oh,
all of us. Yeah.
that's what I mean when I say it took me a while to get it because it's like,
Yeah.
really? Okay. Yeah, I felt initially when people would, I mean, I'm talking back in the 90s when I would say to somebody, oh, and I was the voice of the Baroness on GI, and there would be this pause. I think, what? Why? Why? What? Yeah, it took me a while to understand it. And oh my God, I have met some fantastic people. There was a guy, where was I? Up in Santa Rosa at a tiny show. And this guy comes barreling in and he says, oh, I came just to meet you. He was from Iran. He and his family left Iran before they had before the Shah got kicked out and Khomeini came in back in the 70s. He listened to, apparently this was one of the ways to learn English, listening to the cartoons, and he was now out at oh God, not yeah, Caltech. He's a space engineer. But he said, you just made so much difference in my life. And you're like, wow, I know it is. Yeah. I've met some very fascinating people. Very, very, very.
The
Yep.
ones that for the ones that get me the most are like, I'm not gonna go too much into it, but let's just say that there's so many kids that come to these events, and they came from they had really traumatic backgrounds, and it's just a lot that would just happen in their lives, and then they would just turn on like Ninja
Yes.
Turtles or GI
We were
Joe,
the
like,
avatars
yeah,
before the avatars.
yeah.
Yes, that's what we were.
I mean, Avatar is also a big one now, but I'm just talking about
Oh, I'm
kids
talking
that,
about the concept of finding a persona, a mask, a character
oh
that maybe
yeah.
you could be that would give you the strength to get through whatever the situation. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And there would be kids that would not even speak or have to learn English just from watching these shows. You just never know. Yeah. There's
Mhm.
so many stories that go like that. And
Of
it just
course.
amazes me. It
Well, what
really
did you do
does.
when you were a kid? What did you watch?
Oh boy. I mean, like SpongeBob, pretty much the Nickelodeon,
Okay.
Avatar, like Cartoon Network, that stuff. So I would just watch like the
Yeah.
classic, the old Looney Tunes, Tom, Popeye, stuff like that. And I was always a Disney kid. I'm not ashamed to admit
Okay.
that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I watched a lot of these shows back when they were from when I was growing up. I think a lot of them were syndicated. I don't think they were on a specific network, but I would just kind of catch them on, the
yes,
syndication box
yes,
that would just
yeah,
come
it
out at the
wasn't
time.
that,
Boy,
yeah.
syndication Saturday morning cartoons, man.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm just man,
See,
shows.
see, and you're gone, and you're off, and
There's the
that.
nostalgia, man.
Oh my God, yes. Because it's just a period in your life when you go, I mean, I don't go back to cartoons, but I go back to books that I read when I was a kid, a little kid,
With
and
the old
just,
TV shows that we watch. So much
yeah, and
still airing to this day from the 50s. I Love Lucy, so on and so forth.
everything's on the web. Everything's
Yeah,
loud. Yeah.
classic TV. Yeah. But
Yeah, yeah,
boy,
yeah, yeah.
just
But the
realized,
and the
yeah,
way it makes you feel, that's what it is. It gives, yeah, yeah.
man, we were just having a nice, lovely discussion about so many different stuff. But I think
Oh,
if we were to close this out, what would your last bit of advice be? Anything that you want to share or plug in? Just anything that comes to mind.
well, come out to the TF Con at the Marriott in Burbank, March 9 and 10. Come say hi. Say that you heard me on Robert Jackson's show, right? Right? When
Yeah.
it when are you going to be out? When's the show going to be on?
Pretty much sometime in the next week. So
Well, it
pretty much,
better be if I'm
yeah,
plugging something for 9:10. All right. All
yeah,
right. Oh,
before next week. Yeah.
it's a wonderful gig to be into because I only have one face and one look. I mean, as an actor, I can do a bunch of things that change that, but oh my goodness, you can play ogres. I am not an ogre. I don't care what you think. And you can play ogres. You can do all sorts of incredibleness. I mean, that's the thrill of voice work. Absolutely. Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bingo. All right. That's why you're in it, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. I think
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
yeah, this is a pretty good note to end this on. I just want to thank you so much for this very awesome chat. Like,
This has
wow,
been
it just
fun.
really lifted up my spirits. And you know what? If anything,
Hey,
just to
yes.
sit down and chill and talk about
Yeah.
fans and why so many of us just really love doing this. That's pretty much why I do this podcast, just to showcase our love and the care that we put into this and
Well, we're
how
also a
it means
little
so
nuts,
much.
brother.
Yeah.
We're also a little nuts, just a little nuts.
Yeah.
You know, you know the reaction we get from the, and what's your real job? No, we're just a little nuts. That's all.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Oh
Okay.
man, I've gotten those, but not fun. But regardless, I just want to thank you so much and thank you for watching. Come on by to TFCon next
Bye,
weekend, and
everybody. Yeah.
until then, I'll see you next time on Station Square. Adios!